All right, good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker-Carl, and I'm here with my good friends Dan, Catherine, Christina, and Karen. And today we are talking about Chapter 2 of the book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. That's Jeff Olson. And the topic for today is the missing ingredient for success. Why aren't we successful, or why aren't you successful? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. But before we do, if you want to see our recording for last week for the first chapter, which was, what did we talk about last week was, what is success? Then you can join our Facebook group by going to the link down there below. That's mindsetmasterycollective.com. That'll take you into our Facebook groups where you can get a hold of the recordings and replays of everything that we've done up until now. And then, of course, participate in our chat discussions as we do those there. But before we get going today, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we'll start talking about this missing ingredient for success.
Good morning, it's Catherine Clement in Boulder, Colorado, and enjoying this book. It's just the second chapter, so go ahead and get it and catch up with us.
Dan, Sissy here in soggy Las Vegas right now because we're getting rain and stuff the last couple of days and stuff. I think we're getting the outer remnants of that hurricane that was off of the coast of Mexico and getting some of the winds and rain, not wind so much, but rain from that over the last couple of days. Luckily, it hasn't been a heavy downpour, but still just not liking that. So, but looking forward to getting into the discussion and see what we can bring out.
Hey everybody, Christina Irvin here, and let's get our chat on.
Good morning. Can you hear me? It's Karen Lohoff.
We hear you.
Okay. Dan, you got our cool. I've been looking for cool weather, and there hasn't been cool weather, and it's because you've taken the rain that they said that we would get. Of course, they get confused on that. But anyway, you could always join the Slight Edge and know all kinds of things. So come join us.
You can have the rain. I'll gladly send it to you.
Well, thanks, Dan.
Guys, you're so funny. Oh man, yeah. This discussion is going on right before Hurricane Irma is about to hit Florida, and I just want to send all my love and positive energy down that way, because I have people that are still down there. They couldn't get out, so they're hunkering down. And I am just, I'm sure there's lots of other people that do as well. You know, my mom is down there. She's on the West Coast in Hudson, Florida. And then my good friend Myra, she's down there in kind of in the center of the state, just northeast of Tampa. And I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say anything other than I'm sending positive energy in that way. Force fields of love and protection around them, and hopefully that will, and I'm sending that towards everybody who's down there, who's still stuck down there, and I hope that all of you will kind of put your energy in that as well, prayers, because
Get out of there?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Did Sandy get out of there?
Yes, Sandy did get out. She was posting, she did a live video on Facebook as she was driving north out of Miami, because she's right down there in the scariest area, or one of the scariest areas in Florida. And she did get out. She's somewhere up in Georgia. I didn't see where she said that she went, but thank goodness that she made it out. I haven't heard from Jason. He's in St. Pete, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. I hope he's all right as well. So, yeah, we just send our love down there, and hopefully everybody is going to get through this okay without losing life or limb. And I'm not so concerned about stuff, but it would suck if they lost their stuff too. But I just want everybody to be safe. So, Anyway, let's go ahead and get in our discussion today. So chapter 2 is talking about that essential ingredient for success. And of course, last week we kind of discussed what it means to be successful. And in this chapter, Jeff he sits here and he talks about how, you know, there's all of this great and awesome, amazing personal development, diet, business, everything, information out there. There's more how-to stuff out there in the universe than has ever been before. And yet people still struggle to be successful in whatever they're trying. So, I mean, if you have ever dieted, if you've ever tried to start a new business, if you've tried to improve your relationships, improve your level of happiness, any of those different things, if you've ever tried to do anything and you've not been successful, this chapter is talking about the reason why. So I want to just read these essential points at the back of the chapter. Who would like to read those? I'm going to give everybody else an opportunity to talk too. Dan? You got your book open?
Well, no, actually, because see, my book says The Secret of Easy Things.
Yeah, he doesn't have that version.
Oh, you don't have like the essential points at the back of the chapter?
I have key points of chapter 2.
Okay, read those off and see what they say compared to what mine.
It's not necessarily, I don't think it's quite the same as yours. That's why I'm saying I'm looking at my book now, and it's like, it says key points of chapter. If you learn to understand and apply the slight edge, your life will become filled with hundreds of thousands of small, seemingly insignificant actions, all of them easy to do, none of them mysterious, complex, or difficult. These are the actions that will create your success. That's what successful people do, simple things that are easy to do. Here's the problem. Every action that is easy to do is also easy not to do. If you don't do them, you won't suffer or fail or blow it today, but that simple error in judgment compounded over time will ruin your chance for success.
So, yeah, that's a little bit different than the new version. Just so that we're
Yeah, you want to read
with,
the new version, Christina?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I guess I can do that. Hold on. No matter how good the information is, it won't do you any good unless you have the right catalyst that will let you apply it effectively. Your philosophy creates your attitudes, which creates your actions, which creates your results, which create your life. I like that little domino effect one there. The next one is successful people fail their way to the top. Do the thing and you shall have the power. And the last one is the slight edge is the first ingredient, the catalyst you need that makes all of the how-tos work.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you sharing those. Oh, go jump out, Dan. Go for it.
Well, I was going to say, it's funny how in listening to that version and looking at the version I have, I like them both because I like how they kind of sit, but I like how mine points out the things that if you do the little things, the littlest things each day, like we've talked about before, like maybe getting up, making your bed. There's a easy thing to do, a success, a step forward. You know, you start building that habit, and then you add to it, and you do something else that's just simple and easy to do, and it doesn't take much energy or effort. You build on that, you continually build on it, and it, to me, it gets to the core of what you need to do. Whereas in the new translation, while I think it says similarly, I don't think it gets down to that root deep minimal thing, which also can be easy not to do because it's really our choice and our decision for ourselves to make that decision. And we do it every day when we get up. It's like we look at this, we say, oh, I want to do this today. And then as we get up and we're not really feeling it, or we're not really into it, or we make the decision, oh, I'll do that later. And it, to me, that just kind of helps with the compounding and the building and building up but it also can compound and build down. That's kind of how I see it.
I think the newer version kind of gets at, because again we go back to, are you doing the little things, or why aren't you doing the little things? And I think the thing that's so good about this new version is it gets down to why you perhaps aren't doing the little things, and it is basically, what is your core philosophy in life, what is driving you. And I kind of remember looking at a Eric Thomas video about a year ago, where he's kind of touching on that same point, and he was like, I look at all the people who are successful with my program and all the people who are not successful with my program, and the people who are not successful are the people who are coming from a place of things. They want more cars, they want more money, they want more bigger houses and clothes and things. But the people who have a core principle of giving beyond themselves, beyond their material selves, are the people who do the things that get them the success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is. It's that whole getting down to what drives you in the first place. And I love how he kind of boiled it down to that those little statements. Your philosophy creates your attitudes, which create your actions, which create your results, which create your life. Because without the right philosophy, you aren't going to do the actions in the first place. You're going to instead sabotage yourself from doing those actions. Because if you say, just for instance, and I'll give you, this is probably a really great example. If we're talking about dieting, and I don't know how many of you have ever tried a diet. I think probably just about everybody has tried a diet in one way or another at some point in time. Well, in my experience is that I can make out this whole, diet plan. I can say, I'm only going to eat this. I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to add exercise to my day. I'm blah, 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 all these different things. But when it comes down to, I'm sitting here getting ready to eat some food, and I have the choice between, I don't know, eating a breadstick or eating an apple. I'm like, I just really like that. I love the breadstick. It's so warm. It's yummy. I got to dip it in cheese. It just feels so good. Blah, blah, blah. There's like all these lovey-dovey-dovey feelings all around this stupid breadstick. Not that I don't have love feelings towards the apple, but it's this attitude that I have about the breadstick, and it's the same thing with people and ice cream. I have, oh my God, I have like a super love affair with ice cream. And, it's just all these feelings that are behind that thing. And so that feeling is stronger than I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to look thinner, or I want my clothes to fit better, or, those kind of things. So I think that's what he's trying to get at, is those driving emotional feelings behind the actions that cause you to do the thing. It's either eat the good thing or eat the bad thing. What's driving you? Now, here's another thing that happens for me as well with dieting in particular, is that I'll be good all week long. I'll eat all the things I'm supposed to be doing and eating. And then on the weekend, I'll be like, oh God, I just need a pizza. I need a big old cheeseburger, French fries, all this, and I'll justify it by saying, oh yeah, I've been so good. I did such a great job. I really deserve this thing, this awesome explosion of calories. And so it's those things, it's those driving thoughts that are behind that. So I don't know, that's what I'm thinking he's trying to get at. What do you guys think?
I agree, because in my book, as I was looking back through it a little bit, he does go into that, but he talks about it in the, where was it? I just had it. Oh, that's hang on. I just had it and I lost my page. Crap. I hate it. But he talks about the secret ingredient, and the secret ingredient is your philosophy. It is, where you come from, what that stems from, and how you, go about that. And that's, your driving force. And so he does put it in here. It's just how he's put it together in my book compared to your guys' book. So, yeah, I know for me, there are lots of times I start with a great plan, a great way of how I'm going to do this and stuff. I've got something I've been wanting to implement. I still haven't implemented it yet. And yet I've, got the key things I want. I've had it for a month or so. I just haven't done it, because I let this take over and, take my focus or take my, energy or my time. And it's like, and then I think about it and it's like, well, okay, I didn't do it today. I did all this stuff, other stuff. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and we know what that leads to. Tomorrow never comes, you know. So, and that, and I think that's where and he talks about changing your philosophy and changing that core thing, and that we can do it, and but we have to physically, mentally, spiritually, wholeheartedly change it, or else we won't change it.
It's interesting. I didn't get to read this chapter until this morning, and but over the past couple of days, I've caught up on some chores. I was traveling for like a month, and then when I got back, I was sort of recovering, and there just things that I needed to get around to do that I hadn't been doing. Then I got sick and stuff, so I was like, all right, let me get caught up on some of these things. And as I was doing them, I was thinking how really about this subject. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I was thinking about back in when my grandmother was young. And the ladies back then, they got up and they got dressed, they put hose, they put a girdle, they put everything, makeup, they fixed their hair, lipstick, before they cooked a breakfast. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, the bed had to be made, and the this and the this, and everything was ironed. And I was thinking about all those tasks, and how probably I'm imagining during the war, it was important to do certain simple things to keep the sanity, if you will. To it's like when you're have a catastrophic illness or a disability that comes up, and you're trying to rehabilitate yourself from that. You have to start with one thing. Maybe you wash one cup that day, or maybe, and then maybe you can wash another one the next day, or, maybe you can throw the blanket over the bed, not necessarily make the bed, but, kind of sort of make the bed, or, just maybe you can be upright for an hour. But you have to start with those simple things and kind of work up. And you this what he talks about, here, this slight edge. What is it what's that final thing that gets you doing those things? Because if you just start doing them, you'll notice, when you go to bed at night, you're like, oh, I did something today, or, you feel better when you go to bed if you've done the things that you were supposed to do that day. And if you don't do the things, yeah, you make excuses about why you didn't get it done or whatnot, but you still know you're lying to yourself about, saying what you're not walking your talk, in other words. And, but if you just get into this habit of doing them, whether you want to or not, especially exercise, that's a big one for me. I can make excuses about not doing exercise a lot, because I can say, oh, it's going to make my pain go up, and then I'm not going to be able to do this. And to a certain extent, I do have to manage my spoon, so to speak. I don't know if you guys have heard of the spoon theory, but you only have so many spoons a day that you can use. And when your spoons are gone, which is kind of a limiting belief, but when you're dealing with some physical challenges and things, sometimes you really do have to manage your energy that way. But yeah, what is it that gets people, started? For me, I just got sick of things. I just got sick of things the way that they were. And I was looking into my future thinking, really? Like, is this in? Because I would like to live a more exciting adventure here, you know, and be able to help more people and be able to, you know, I can travel from bed because of the internet, which is awesome, but I'd like to be able to go feel the energy of people and other places and things too, you know, and go help people with some of the therapies that I do. And able to do that, I had to be physically better myself to do it. So that was I was like, okay, well, you got to get better before you can go help more people. So get to it, girl. You know, put your big girl panties on and quit making excuses and do it. But I don't know, what was I know everybody here has probably, you know, been to a point where something pushed them hard enough to change, or we wouldn't be here together. So what was your guys's?
Well, three things came to mind as you were talking. Number one, um, it, everybody's experience is going to be a bit different, right? Number two, and I kind of harken back to another book that I read, and I still am integrating in my life, and that's pay me what I'm worth. You know, first things first is it comes down to a choice. I know that there's oftentimes most times we're quite cognizant of the things, but we allow them to sit over on the side, and we know about them, but we don't take action on them, because if we take action on them, then there's a level of accountability required, right? So we like to play boo-boo the fool like we don't know. We're like, I'm not gonna make the choice to commit to this because, well, I technically didn't say yes, and so I'm not accountable to it now. I play that one really, really well. Okay, yeah. But it's the truth. And then the third thing that I was thinking about is a little saying that I learned from my sorority in college, which was excuses are great tools of incompetence, which builds monuments of nothing, and those who specialize in them are seldom anything. And I think excuses are, like, we could build cities with excuses, right? But in some way, I don't know about you all, but I know for me, it's like a slow killing of the soul. And, you know, Catherine, you were saying that if you just do it, then it becomes a habit. And I've gotten to a point in my life where I spent my entire life just doing things because I had to do them, you know, air quotes around those. I had to do those. And yeah, thanks, Dan. But it really wasn't so much, the habits never formed or never stuck beyond whatever that immediate goal was. And the reason why is because it wasn't my passion place. I wasn't doing things. I was doing it out of obligation because they said, society says, parents say. I was not doing it out of love or passion or desire of my own. And so therefore, it's kind of like temporary learning. I had a high school teacher that used to say temporary learning by humbug. You know, that would be me with whatever endeavor it was or whatever habit I had for the moment, whether it was, oh gosh, I got to make weight so that I can play in my collegiate basketball game, so let me lose 5 pounds in the next 2 days. Whatever it was, whether it was, oh God, I got this exam that I've yet to study for, so let me spend the next 24 hours in this book cramming. Whatever it was born out of an obligation to achieve some immediate goal, but it was not out of my desire and passion. So I think those are the things that stand out for me.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Christina, about, you know, what it was that kind of drove you to do those short-term things, because I think that ultimately our life is just comprised of a whole bunch of short-term things, and it's that drive behind why we do the things in the first place that causes us to do the actions that creates the result that we're looking for. And you know, even if it's not something that you necessarily had a passion for, you still pushed yourself to do it because of some underlying reason of, you know, you didn't want to get a bad grade because, you know, that was going to make you look bad to your parents or your friends or whoever, or, you know, you want to make sure that you were passing those classes so that you could achieve your diploma or, you know, make that accomplishment. There's some underlying thing within us that causes us to do that, because there's a lot of people that won't even do that. And you know, so I'm like, I think that's, you know, he really wants us to get down to what is it that's driving us to take our actions, even if it is only to accomplish some small thing that maybe isn't our passion. Because I think a lot of times, like, for instance, we start in a business, you know, we want to make more money, we want to save the world, we want to do that kind of thing. But of course, creating a successful business requires a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo you got to do, short-term stuff that nobody really likes to do. But our driving force for doing it is because we want to achieve this other thing that makes us feel something specific that we ultimately want to feel. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking on there, because I mean, just like with dieting, let's compare like an athlete to a person who just wants to lose weight and be fit. An athlete doesn't do the actions just specifically to be fit. They are trying to get to this ultimate goal of being like a gold medal winner or something. There's some kind of feeling they think that they're going to gain by doing that. And that is their philosophy for living. And so their everyday actions, if it doesn't line up with that ultimate philosophy of who they are, who they, you know, ultimately want to be. And if they're like, I'm a gold medal winner, even if they never achieve that gold medal, all those daily actions are the things that make them feel like I'm a gold medal winner, right? And so that's the difference between somebody who, you know, is just doing a diet to lose weight. It's like, ultimately, what is the real reason behind it? It's not just about losing weight. It's not just about looking better. There's something else there. Because, like, for me, I'd like to sure lose weight, be a little more, you know, fit. But ultimately, I just want to be happy in the moment. That's my philosophy. I just want to be happy in the moment. If that means I'm exercising, great. If it means I'm eating ice cream, then that's what I'm doing, you know? So, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I was going to jump out and kind of hit on Christina's point, and then I'll add to yours, because I think that's why we see the difference with people who have such a passion for something. And even though they have to go through all, like Thomas Edison, he had a real passion for discovering, you know, light bulbs and stuff and things. You know, he wanted to figure that out. And for going through all the failures, even though he didn't call them failures, he, you know, coined them. I just learned a different way of how to blow this up or blow that up, or, you know, he used that as the catalyst to help him keep going. And I think for me, sometimes I want this big goal, and then I do all these things, and in my head I say, I know this is part of this process to get me here, but sometimes I get caught up in the issues or the things here that are a pain point or a pressure point, and it kind of takes me out of it. And then I'm like, kind of like, and then I have to kind of recircumvent myself and get myself back around again and realize that, hey, that's just part of this process to get me to here. And I think, you know, and because it may not be the total passion thing that I'm passionate about, like I'm passionate about kids, I love kids and stuff. Um, and there are things you know, things and areas I can do in that area, but because of other choices and things I've done in the past in my life, I'm here. I'm still wanting to get there, but it's like that choppy road, you know, that, you know, you're trying to get to the island, but you only have the stepping stones, you know, that are kind of dispersed out a little bit, and you're trying to get there, and you're kind of here, and you're like, well, you know, am I going to keep going? Do I go back? Do I, you know, what pushes me forward? And I think it goes back to that philosophy, you know, that he was talking about. What's your core thing, and what's really driving you, and what does push you forward? And, if you can key in and keep that and focusing in your vision and, you know, in the front of what you're doing rather than letting it kind of slide to the back, that's what keeps you driving forward.
I think, though, I think there's also a commitment. Well, let me just speak for me then. There's a commitment that I have right now. My passion is to find what the hell my passion is, right? So, my commitment to myself, my choice to myself is to be willing to step into whatever today kind of lights me up, and give myself permission to say, yeah, no, I tried that out sufficiently, and that's not the thing. I think the point that I'm trying to make is oftentimes we have no idea, and we won't know until we try it. But most often we tend to keep dragging ourselves through an experience or a task or something like that we have absolutely no desire to do, because I don't think society gives permission to say, yeah, no, that's not for me. Because if so, then you're a quitter, right? And so we don't want to be quitters, so we continue to slog along, half-assing what we're doing in life, and so we're not keeping it real with self. I don't know. I think this is one of the wonderful things about turning 40 for me is that I've given myself permission not to force myself to half-ass the rest of my life.
I like that, Christina, because me in my 50s, I really like that idea because I'm still trying to figure out fully what my full passion is, so I'm still searching.
I was reading an article. I want to hear what Karen has to say, though, before I talk about it. Come on, Karen.
Can you hear me all right? I'm not hearing as well as I'd like to, so I hope I'm not repeating what everybody else has already said. One of the things that I'm noticing is that we're all very, very different, and we all require, particular things that light us up, encourage us, have kind of impacted us all of our lives. And now that we're talking about our 40s, 50s, and 60s, I'm realizing that there are things in my life that have taken me back down the rung. And this week, one of the things that helped me a lot is to find someone who can really speak from, we used to call it, there used to be a group called the Motivational Speakers Association, probably still is. Don't hear that a lot because I get involved with some of these groups that I've found on the internet. But this woman just galvanized me, and I have listened to her pointedly. I've made it a special point every day to listen for 4 or 5 days. Her name is Mel Robbins. Some of you probably heard her 5-second. She wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule, and she talks around that quite a bit. But for me, it really opened a portal for me, because I find that I have learned to distract myself amazingly. I mean, it's just incredible to just notice in the course of my day all the different ways that I can get myself distracted and decide that this is what I need to be doing right now. And, it has nothing to do with anything I set out to do at the beginning of the day. It has nothing to do with my purposes. It has nothing to do with my passion. It has nothing to do with, all these things that have been talked about in this chapter. And I really needed something to kind of bring me back in line. And she went through a series of things about 8 years ago with family that, you know, had really, she never talked about it in this way, but she really kind of gotten herself to where she had a heck of a time getting out of bed. And she was using the snooze button every day, even getting her kids late to school and all that kind of stuff. One night as she got ready to turn the TV off, she saw a rocket being launched. And she said, "That's it. I'm going to rocket myself out of bed." The next morning, she woke up and she started counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, got up, stood up, did this repeatedly for several mornings in a row, and believed that she had found something that really worked for her. It actually turned her life around as she applied it to more and more things. And I don't know how many years after that she had put together incredible research, brain science research as to why that worked and why, you know, why actually now she says 8 million people have been exposed to this, use it. She said they use it in the armed services. They use it in school assemblies to get the kids to be quiet. This 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 count, she talks about it taking you from the I think it's the basal ganglia part of the brain where you're kind of doing, you know, you're doing your habits, you're kind of doing your distraction things, and getting yourself to your prefrontal cortex and to zone in. And the reason you've only got 5 seconds is because your brain is going to be telling you, you know, just relax, you know, just eat ice cream, Samantha. Just, you know, just do these things. It'll keep you safe and not change your life. And of course, we're all talking about wanting to change our lives. So, you know, maybe that can be my contribution for the moment. Her name is Mel Robbins. It's called The 5 Second Rule is the book. And if you listen to her, even one of her briefings, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about in terms of the science behind it, the brain behind it. You know, I've been working on my bipolar book, and it's incredible how, you know, many of us get to the point at some point in our lives where, you know, it seems like we might as well just take ourselves out. We're not doing anybody any good. And she said that there were 13 people at some point in time, I'm sure there are more now, who had let her know that they had counted down, got help, we're still here. Thanks.
I was just going to add, I just looked her up a little bit, and she actually has a Facebook page, so just to let everybody know.
You know, and somebody mentioned something earlier. Oh, Christina, you were saying that you were looking for your life passion, and Dan, you were kind of raising your hand on that too. And a year or so ago, I had somebody had brought up, I think it was Sandy, or maybe it was you, Catherine. Somebody had brought up this video that Elizabeth Gilbert did, the one that wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And she had done this video for Oprah Winfrey on the Super Soul Saturday, something or other program, where she was talking about life passion and how she had like spent a lot of her life following this one kind of goal, and she had done a lot of things and achieved a lot. But then she also had seen other people that didn't have one specific life passion, that they also were successful, but they were successful doing multiple different things throughout their lives. And she was like, look, you know, not everybody has a one and only life purpose. Sometimes people have multiple things that they achieve throughout their lives, and they just go full bore on something for a while, and that's really awesome, and they're great at it. And then later on, they do something completely different, and they're really great at that too. And so I don't know if you can find it. I was kind of trying to look for it on YouTube, and there was some like little short excerpt videos there, but it may only be available the full thing on the Oprah Winfrey channel now. But anyway, it's Elizabeth Gilbert and her talks on life passions. If you just do first a search for that, you'll probably find it. So But anyway, I thought it was really powerful. I listened to that. I was like, that's me. You know, I've never really felt like I had just one all driving purpose. And even though I've thought and read and done and everything else, I've just never felt like I had one calling. It just never. I don't know. I've had
I
lots of
feel
things
you.
I've been interested in. Yeah.
I feel you.
I
Yeah,
do too. Okay.
fun
Oh,
in this life.
I love that there's one video and a song, and it's who is it by? It's by One Republic, and it's I hope you lived, or I lived. I think that's what it is, and there's like a music video that kind of goes along with it, and there's a guy in the video. He's got some kind of a physical ailment of some sort. I can't remember which one it was, but anyway, he's a young guy, and he knows that his life isn't going to be real long, and so he's just doing everything that he's just living his life. He's going on adventures. He's trying different things, and I'm like, that's my philosophy of life. It's just to have an awesome life adventure, whatever that entails, whatever comes up, and who is it that does the whatever comes up? Love that. Who is that? Matt Kahn? Is that who it is? Yeah. I've listened to a few of his videos, and I just, I agree. It's whatever comes up, just love that. There was, oh my gosh. Okay, so something completely different. I don't know if anybody has seen the movie Despicable Me 3. There's like this. Have you seen any of the Despicable Me movies? Anybody? Oh my gosh, that little movie is so funny. I just love it. But anyway, the third one, Gru has got these little girls, and one of them, she's so passionate about unicorns. Like she wants a unicorn so bad, and she's like, they're in this foreign country, and she thinks she's going to see this unicorn, and so she's off in the woods. She's like waiting. She's put candy on the rock for a bait to get this unicorn to come up, and she's hiding. And then all of a sudden she hears the candy getting eaten, and she jumps up and she sees this all white little animal that has one horn. So she completely thinks that it's a unicorn. Well, it's not a unicorn. It's a goat that has one of its horns knocked off or broken off or whatever, but she doesn't care. She doesn't know. She's little. And so she takes this little goat back to Gru, and Gru goes, "Honey, I'm so sorry. I'm so very sorry. It's not a unicorn. Sometimes life just doesn't give you what you really want, and you just end up with a goat, and it's a goat." And she pauses for like a half a second, kind of her face kind of goes down, and then it goes back up, and she's like, "I love this goat. It's the most awesome goat, and I love it." Like, there's the life lesson for you. I don't know, completely different subject than what we were talking about. But anyway, it came up, and I thought,
no.
sure.
She changed her philosophy on unicorn.
It's
She
like,
changed her thought, and like
that's it.
that.
It's just like, I love whatever happens. It's the most awesome goat in the whole wide world. Like, there you go. That's not exactly what you were looking for, but it's okay too.
Is that
As
anything?
we,
Go ahead, Christina.
I was just going to say, as we get closer to the end of the conversation and get ready to wrap up things here in a little bit, this whole discussion is also reminding me of a discussion, again, from the Pay Me What I'm Worth. We've got a new series over on Pay Radio, on Blog Talk Radio. If anybody wants to listen to it, just let me know and I'll share the link to it. But it's got me thinking about what I just said about, or what we've all been talking about, just giving ourselves the permission to change up and like a new uniform, a new unicorn or whatever in our life. And it reminded me of the fact that the Lord has blessed me with a lot of talent. And so achieving things, achieving goals, and having success at things to the outside sometimes probably looks a little easy. To some people would presume that I'm just dying in love with whatever it is that I'm doing, or else I would not be able to have that level of success with it. I suppose that's in and of itself a gift, huh? To be able to fake the funk and look like you love it, right? Or is it a curse? I don't know. I digress. But the point that I'm trying to make is this: is that when there still comes a point where you have to make a choice to give yourself that permission to then make that next domino step of taking that action to then, right? And I think a lot of times it comes down to one of the first lessons that we learn in life, and we're told that it's better to give than to receive. And what I've learned with Pay Me What I'm Worth in that book is that it's actually better to receive first, so that you then have sort of a full cup enough to give. The more that you receive, the more that you actually are able to give. And that's even to yourself. The more that you receive, you're able to give more to yourself as well. And so I think my parting thoughts in the conversation would be to really start to be cognizant of how open you are of receiving all these beautiful gifts that the world provides us, even the small things every day, that perhaps you are blocking in some way or whatever. But what energy are you presenting that is not allowing you to receive enough, that you're limiting what you're able to give in so many different ways, even up to and including the permission to live your best your best life.
Exactly. And I think that reminds me of that. I don't know what it is, but anyway, we mentioned it a little bit last week of you can't take care of anybody else if you can't take care of yourself first. And that starts with, like you're saying, it starts with receiving. You've got to have something before you can give, right? And it doesn't mean that you got to have it's not about being selfish or self-centered or anything like that. But yet at the same time, we do need to be self-centered, because this is our life. This is the universe does revolve around us, even though everybody's like, oh, man, it doesn't revolve around you. Well, yes, it does. Mine does. Yours does. It does for everyone. And if we aren't putting ourselves first in our own universe, then how can we possibly expect to help anybody else in our universe, take care of anyone else? But I think that we constantly are putting ourselves at the bottom of the list in everything in our lives. And then we wonder why we're not happy, why we're frustrated, why things aren't going the way that we expect. Why? Well, because you are treating yourself like crap. Stop it. So, okay, that's all I had to say on that. I know we've got like 10 minutes left. Everybody say some final thoughts and then we'll wrap up for today. I know we got to get done right at the top of the hour.
I wanted to, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jen. Is it just me?
Yeah, go.
I wanted to comment on Samantha's talk about not going for just one thing, but some people need to go for a lot of different things. And there's a woman that I had gotten her book, and I wish I could think of what it was. I've just finally gone through YouTube, and at least I've got her name right. Her name is Barbara Sher, S-H-E-R. And when I talk about her first book, which I can't think of the name of it, I got it before the rest of you were born, I guess, probably, it seems like. That's how far spread there is. And it's still in publication. She's written lots and lots of books, and I'm looking at a TED Talk that she's doing right here, which was just a fabulous TED Talk on isolation being the dream killer, not your attitude. And I'm just not getting to the rest of her talk and what she called it. I think she maybe called it being a generalist. And she just really promotes. She actually has a forum where she gets people together so that they can look at all the different things that make sense to them to do rather than just focusing on one thing. And it's really kind of funny to me that there are people who will talk about how you just simply have to find out one thing. Well, that would never have worked for me. And so I just really want to encourage people who think about, well, yeah, I can't focus on one thing either. I mean, I have several things that I'm trying to accomplish in my life. I mean, many of them just, you can funnel them together and make them all maybe be into one business or one focus. But yeah, not all of us are cut out to do and look at just one, you know, being a gold medalist in the javelin throw or whatever it might be. Thanks.
I was going to jump out and say that, the couple of things that I've got from this discussion today is one, that from, the book when we were going over at the beginning, that, doing the little things and just, helping have those, as I look at them, little successes that will help propel me forward. And two, I think what you were saying, Samantha, maybe I do have a lot of different passions because I love music, I love kids, I love, helping people build up and develop their minds and stuff. So maybe I do, and I never really realized that till now. And then also the bit you were talking about, the being the center of my own universe. I've never heard anybody say it that way, and yet I've always heard, should always, put myself last and think of others and stuff. But getting back to, like we said last week, how can I take care of others if I can't take care of the rudimentary and things I need to take care of in me so I'm functioning and can take out of what I get and the blessings and the things I can share to other people generously if I can't even take care of. And I think that's, looking at my own universe and the people I interact with. And you're right, it is my universe. It comes from me and it spreads out there. It's how I deal with it and how I interact and because you can get it very self-centered in a very negative way, or you can get it self-centered in a very positive way. And that's where I want to look at it, is in the positive way. I want to take care of me first, so that way I have the ability to go out and give more and above and beyond to others, so that they can turn around and be able to do that, go out and go on beyond and more to others. So I appreciate that. That kind of just put some things into a little bit of perspective for me.
I was reading an article this week. I've been listening to you guys, and I wanted to think of the name, but I was more listening to you guys instead of thinking of the name. But anyway, it was called something like fraud syndrome or something, and the statistics were really high on surveys that have been done on people that feel this way. And basically they said that it's like it wasn't called fraud, it was another word, but I can't think of it. Anyway, it's even like big CEOs of companies and these people that are like multimillionaires or seem so quote accomplished and whatever they're doing, they still sometimes maybe even several times a day say to themselves, gosh, what happens when people really find out who I am? Or like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like they say to themselves, I don't know what I'm doing. How, like, you think that they know what they're doing because they're accomplished, but at some point they probably just started doing steps, taking action steps, and then things happen. And there is there's something about energy and action, and you have to take that step, even if it's, I don't put on pantyhose or makeup or, any of that stuff. But even if that's your step, whatever your step is, sometimes you just have to do that step because that starts the energy moving, that goes to the next step, that go, it's like, I don't know, it's all connected there. And it's interesting. I mean, I've certainly had those feelings. I'm like, suddenly I'm, quote, a leader in a company or something. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, I mean, but I am, like, I'm taking the action steps. I'm helping my team. I'm being the leader, but I just feel like, oh my God, they think I know what I'm doing. I mean, seriously, I have those thoughts sometimes, but, one of the things I wanted to mention about flitting around, and we're almost done here, but I think she likened it to butterflies, how they flit around, and like pollinate different groups of people. They pollinate different flowers and people that, like I guess I have one purpose in that I help people, but I do it in like a lot of different ways. Sometimes when I'm talking to people and they ask me what I do, they say, is there anything you don't do? And I'm like, well, I'm still looking. I try to do like something new all the time because I get bored really easily. And but you were talking, so there's nothing wrong. Like, I call that being spirit led, and it's really difficult as a business person to lead a spirit-led life sometimes. Like, I find that they sort of conflict a little bit because everything that I read about being business is like deadline, goal list, this, and spirit-led. I mean, my life, God tells me what to do. And it's so, I mean, like the guy at the house up there, suddenly in the midst of my day, suddenly I'll say, okay, I'm going to go do this right now. And I go out there and he's like walking across the yard to talk to me or something. I mean, it's matching up. So I have to leave it that way, because if I start messing with it too much, I miss things that Spirit's trying to get to me. Sorry, I'm cramming in a lot of stuff right here. I wanted to give you guys, I have to tell you, I've been living really lean for a long time. And I had some money come in that I'd been expecting. And I went to the store and I did a little splurge last night, not a big splurge. I mean, some women pay more for their hair on a monthly basis than what I splurged on, right? But for me, because I'm so practical and lived lean for so long, it was like a splurge. I wouldn't even open it. Like, it took me over an hour in the store before I would buy the stuff. And then, like, I wouldn't open it because I thought I'm going to take it back. Like, it was like I didn't deserve it or something. I've been working 22-hour days, you guys, for months. And I was having an issue. So, Christina, when you were talking earlier about, we block ourselves. Yeah, I can see where I block myself because I have some kind of, I look at something and I say, oh, I'd love to have that. That's awesome. And then I say, oh, but I could get this for this person. I could help this person do that. I can get that for that like I spend that money on everybody else, but not me. So I did buy it. I did open it.
Yes.
And I'm not taking it back, damn it. But I want to challenge you guys. I know we're right here. I'll be a few minutes late for the other thing I have to do. I want to challenge you guys because I read something interesting. A lot of us keep gratitude logs where we're, at the end of the night, we say what we're grateful for or whatever. Sometimes we just say it. Sometimes we write it down. It's better to write it down, but sometimes we don't do it because that's one of those action steps, But I heard about a different log, and it's a log where it's a compliment log. So especially with all of us being on social media, we get a lot of this, and we get a lot of it from our teams and stuff. When somebody compliments you, make a note of it, screenshot it, like take a picture of it and keep a log, keep a book. And then when you feel like, you're like down on yourself, read how, how you're impacting people's lives. Read through your log about that, like the compliments that you get and the things that people point out about you and stuff, and be generous with pointing out the things that you love about other people. Don't make shit up, like, to be real about it, right? But if you really like something about somebody, share that with them, because it could really make their day or even their year. So I'll shut up now. Love you guys.
Did everybody have a chance to share before we wrap up? Anybody else have something they want to add? Karen?
Give me just a second, if you would. I did find Barbara Shear's page and all the videos she's done, and there's, I don't know, 100 zillion, and it's called Scanner. I thought it was generalist. It's called Scanner. There's actually a term on the internet, people who do that, and she has a talk she calls Refuse to Choose. Scanners must use all their gifts. The world needs all the gifts you were given at birth. So go for it. Thanks.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so very much, all of you, for sharing your thoughts and experiences, insights that we've gained from this chapter. We've been kind of all over the place today, but that's how it goes. We all end up learning when we do that. So I just want to thank you again. And I just want for everybody, kind of as a wrap up, as far as what I wanted to say, is to really think about what your philosophy is behind your actions, what drives you to do the things that you're doing right now, whatever they are. And, examine those a little bit and see if there's something that you can tweak about what you think about yourself when you take your actions. And of course, as we go forward in this book, we're going to learn more ideas on how to adjust our philosophy so that we can achieve things that we ultimately want. But I wanted to mention something on that. Is Catherine, when you were talking about making the compliment log, one thing that I have recognized over the years, that when people compliment me because of something I've done or achieved or helped or whatever, is that I realize there's something within that compliment that directs me towards my philosophy of who I am and what I'm all about. And so maybe think about that a little bit. When somebody gives you a compliment on something you're doing and how that makes you feel, what is that pointing towards, and of course it can be different based on whatever you're doing in your life. We've talked about life passion and how sometimes your purpose isn't just achieving one thing. It's about multiple things. Like Catherine, she mentioned that, that she helps people. She helps people in multiple different ways, and she lives a spirit-guided life. So those two things there kind of give me the impression that that is her philosophy, is helping people through a spirit-guided life. So what is it you're doing in your life that you don't even realize maybe is your philosophy? So that's what I want to kind of leave you guys with this week, is think about that. And then for those of you who are watching this as a recording, you can visit our Facebook group at mindsetmasterycollective.com. There'll be a link below this video where you can find that. There'll be other links that you can get. Once you get in our Facebook group, you can get access to all of our replays. You can join us each week. There's instructions for that. You can see our complete event list of things that we've done previously. And that's it for this week, guys. Next week, we'll be talking about Chapter 3 of The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And with that, have a great, awesome, amazing weekend, and we'll see you next week on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.